Let's talk about new players tier lists in the game, the English subtitles in the bottom and timestamps for each tier. The video will be helpful to newer players, especially that I will say in very short what each operator does with his gadget, and what is his job during the round. Before we jump on the ranking up operators depending on the tier list, let's give some rules. There will be 5 classes, S to D. S being the best tier, 3 operators max, and D being the worst tier, 3 operator the max. Keep in mind that this is my personal opinion. Feel free to say your 2 cents down in comment section below and give your own tiers. When I name all the operators, I will give my reasons why are they in a specific class. Oh, and I will do defenders only in this episode, attackers will come later. Let's start with newbie friendly operators. S stands for an operator that is very easy to use, does not require a huge map control, and if deaf, the team does not lose much. Whereas D stands for a complex operator that a newer player should stay away from them. Also, I do consider that newer players will face other newer players. That will definitely change up the rankings a bit. S. Rook, Capcan, Doc. A. Mute, Frost, Kaid, Caveira, Mosey. B. Legion, Valkyrie, Vigil, Mira, Bandit, Maestro, Ella, and Jaeger. C. Echo, Alibi, Tachanka, Smoke. D. Clash, Castle, and Pulse. Here are the explanations. S tier. Rook. Rook is picked because his gadget is the most simplest gadget in the game. All what Rook has to do is deploy his armor plates on the floor, and he has done his job as the utility guy. He's a great anchor, therefore does not require as much map knowledge as the roamers. If deaf, team does not lose any ability. Doc. Doc is very similar to the Rook. He is a bit harder to play as he has team pistols that if deaf, he will lose them. However, he's also great at anchoring as well as good at playing offside. Definitely an operator to recommend playing with. Capcan. Capcan brings 5 shreds that deals 40 to 60 damage depending on the body armor of attackers, and they can be put by the doors and windows. Considering that this is the least useful towards the newer players, using Capcan against newer players is very deadly. It would be nice to have map knowledge, at least from where attackers are pushing, but random Capcan spots work definitely good even in higher tier games. A tier. Mute has extremely powerful gadget and he's very good at stopping the information gathered from attackers. However, he's more useful if you know the vertical spots and also the common spots that attackers will drown out, especially if paired with the roamers. Definitely requires some of the map knowledge, but blocking off the objective can also be good. Frost. Similar to Capcan, but she requires a bit more skill, game sense and game experience for the traps. For an instance, you can use your barbed wire to trick attackers getting into your welcome mat, or placing it behind the objects that attackers have to vault through, for an example, after a pre-made rotation. However, random welcome mats can do wonders as well, especially against newer people. Kaid. Kaid is similar to Bandit, but he is good at anchoring. That is one of the reasons why he is listed in A tier and Bandit is in B tier. Kaid is usually brought to stop harbor breachers getting the hatches, so if you're defending an objective with hatches, he's very powerful and straightforward. The only downside is that he requires you to know where the hatch is, which is a basic map knowledge. You can always ping the hatch and follow the ping. Caveira. Her gadget is fantastic against new people. Loadout, not so much. Her gadget is all around making your roaming quieter. Against people that do not know how to use sound in their advantage, she's very powerful. Keep in mind that her powerfulness is dramatically falling by each rank. She's close to a not viable pick in the ESL. The reason of that is she has an average to bad loadout. Her secondary pistol is basically a DMR and primary weapons are not good. I will recommend shotgun as you will run with your pistol most of the time and you will be able to open hatches with shotgun. And she excels against teams that have a zero or very low communication and as well as give pressure to attackers when they know she's nearby because she can interrogate them. Mosey. Mosey is a similar operator to Mute, but he can hijack the drones. He has solid loadout and is an information operator. You can roam with him or Anchor, but most importantly is that after you place your pest launcher and if you die, you still did a somewhat job, denying entrances to the drones. However, if dead, you won't be able to move the drones. B tier Legion. This is a controversial pick. Right. Legion has cloaked traps that when stepped onto its radius, and the radius is 0.5 meters, which can block fully a small door, deals 10 damage and by each 3 seconds deals additional 4 damage. Now, that is all good, but the thing is that the longer he's lie, the more useful he is, as he's getting more and more goo mines, up to 8. He also needs to understand the basic pushes of attackers as well as some cool tricks behind the goo mines, like placing them by the staircases, and some others I will save up for the future videos. Valkyrie. Valkyrie is an operator that has 3 throwable cameras, and since they are throwable, you need to know hot areas where attackers are pushing. Good places inside of the objective so it does not get spotted, and the other tricks with her. The biggest reason why she's broad is for the outside cameras, and to place a camera on the good spot. You need to know each window and what is behind the window. However, having 2 cameras in the site is also a fine idea, but there are definitely some better camera spots. Vigil. As much as Vigil is a pure roamer due to his cloak for 12 seconds ability against drones, there are some spots that you can abuse Vigil's gadget to totally confuse attackers' intel. Also, since he's a pure roamer, you need to know the design of the map. Roaming is not just staying at one place for 2 minutes and then going back in the site. Mira. Mira has mirror windows that can see through the reinforcement, and they are bulletproof, which is great theoretically. However, if placed a bad mirror window, she's detrimental to your team. Also, there are some mirror counters, such as Twitch, so a destroyed mirror window means you have a hole in the reinforcement which can affect negative to your round. A good mirror window has to pay attention to her counters as well as know mirror spots. Bandit. I have already said about Bandit, his gadget is very similar to Kaid and he can stop hard breachers getting into the site horizontally. It is good that Bandit knows how to bandit trick, and to know how to bandit trick, he's supposed to know how to sound propaganda works. Bandit tricking is situational, and that is not the reason why I didn't put him in A tier. The reason of me putting him in B tier is that he is better off roaming than anchoring, if not bandit tricking. So he has to know how does the map look like, and as well as he has to know which walls to put bandit charts. Maestro. Maestro brings 2 bulletproof cameras that can see through the smoke. He's extremely powerful in higher tier games because of his loadout and ability to see and shoot through the smoke with the camera. However, the problem is that you need to understand how and when to use his cameras and especially where to place them. You need to know default plant spots as well as default rushes and places where you can use his camera for other functions, like the night drones to get inside the objective or push out roamers. He does require a medium map knowledge and requires you to know the evil eye placements. Ella. Ella has three mines called Grismots. They stop an animation. That means she can be used to stop plants as well. She can screw up enemy screen and their sensitivity. Her ability is very strong, however her gun is subpar. Thankfully. She is usually used as a roamer, therefore requires map knowledge. Also, you have to expect attackers to come from a correct way so you can put a Grismot mines correctly. Jaeger. Jaeger has three magpies, also known as ADSs, that stop frag grenades. To use him to the fullest, you need to know from which way will a frag grenade, Yinkadella, or anything else come from and put an ADS correctly. Also, you need to know where to place them. There are some situations that there are better places to place an ADS than the other one for the same job. For an example, border lockers. C tier. Echo. Echo is an operator that should not die, like never. He has two mobile drones that stick onto the ceiling, get cloak, and can stun someone across 13 meters. When hit, his vision gets drunk and stops an animation, which includes planting the diffuser. Stopping the diffuser is a game changer, and that is why you want to stay alive for the late rounds. And not only that, Echo has to know how to and when to support his roamers with his drones. Wise attackers do not destroy his drones. Echo and later on Smoke are narrowly a must picks for higher tier games. Smoke. Smoke has a similar reason as Echo why he is down there, staying alive. Smoke has an additional function, which is making rotations and line of sights. He has 3 smoke waves that damage anyone with a radius of 3.99 meters for full 13 seconds. It deals 15 damage per second and the damage drops the longer it lasts. That means he can stop the plant and as well as he can partially block a path for attackers during the first 4 seconds of the smoke grenade. Alibi. Alibi has 3 prismas that look alike her while she's ADSing with the basic skin. Their setting and the prisma's uniform graphic is downgraded a bit. In between legs, you can destroy the prisma, and anyone that crosses the prisma, either it being a drone or a person, is detected. So she can be used to block windows. However, she can be used for some better ways, shutting down a whole room by yourself, and there are some cool tricks with her, so she definitely can be more handy for an experienced person. Her gun is Bullet Sponge, similar to Valkyrie, and she is usually a roamer which requires map knowledge. Tachanka. Tachanka's ability is to stay still, like literally, so his ability is not useful in silo and higher games where people should understand the point of verticality and kill a person that stays still. He has a turret with a shield, 700 health points if I remember correctly, that covers his head and torso. However, he is standing still, which is a big no-no. But he has a nice loadout, primary and secondary guns. PMM one of the best secondary guns. His ability is usually useless, but not detrimental. That is why he is not in D tier. D tier. Let's talk about the controversial pick, Pulse. Pulse has a cardiac sensor that can detect anyone within the 9 meter. His gadget is really powerful, however, he requires a huge map knowledge, requires you to have basic game sense and mediocre game knowledge. And if you lack any of this, just because you're on his gadget, you can get killed. His loadout is subpar. His gadget is extremely powerful in the right hands. Newer people should stay away from the Pulse. Castle. Castle is a pick that will do great in a 5 primate team, but is usually detrimental to your team if not in 5 primate team. He brings 3 bulletproof barricades that can be put by any doors and windows. You can melee it 12 times to get rid of it, or any explosion can destroy it. He sounds nice, and he really is nice, decorating the map at your team's wish. However, if placed wrong, you're tunneling and blocking your roamers and the whole your team to flank and rotate and anything else. We will talk about him in ranked and ESL tier list. Clash. Clash is the only defender that has shield which you can use to slow down attackers and zap them. However, every shield operator requires huge game sense and quick thinking, especially Clash as she has 3 counters: Nomad, Zofia and Capito. Just because she requires you game sense and teammates that know how to play around you, it's better off playing something else. That's it. Support me by subscribing, clicking the notification bell and liking the video. Don't forget to join the Discord server. With this being said, peace out.